Hello, Dan Alasso, History for Today. And this morning I want to give you a little update on what is happening in my Obsidian graph. Although I feel like I've been using it for a long time, I have to remind myself that I am really brand new with this. I've only been using it for a couple of months, and so I'm still learning, and I'm trying to actually use it as I'm learning rather than learn everything that I can about it and then start implementing it. I've got a lot of things that I have to get done, and so I'm trying to do many of them inside of Obsidian. One of those things that I was doing this week is that I had to do a little bit of research on Santa Anna, the president, and some people call him the uncrowned king of Mexico, for my US and Latin America class. And so I just sort of automatically created an Obsidian page for him. I'm not sure that the content will relate to my own studies, but it will probably come in very handy in a number of courses that I teach. I mostly paraphrased, but I did actually copy and paste a block of text from Wikipedia, actually, that was exactly what I needed. It was basically a quote anyway. So I don't feel that bad about breaking my rule to only paraphrase. Second observation, I'm beginning to go through the historiographical readings that I've loaded up into my Obsidian graph, both to make sure that I have double bracketed and linked the things in there that I want to link, and also to begin making videos about them for my channel. I'm going to try to make videos on a daily basis this year, and some of them will be my current course content. I'm currently processing a lecture video for my Modern World History class this week, which I'll probably post today or tomorrow. Some of them will be on note-taking and personal knowledge management and app-oriented. And then others will be in this kind of book review, comps, field reading type of content, which is what most of these little essays that I loaded into the graph actually originally were. If I was going alphabetically, I'd begin with actual books. Check. I did that one yesterday. Next one would be Adair's Intellectual Origins of Jeffersonian Democracy. Maybe I'll make that later this week, or maybe I won't decide to go alphabetically. I've also found myself moving things into folders rather than just having the big running ticker tape on the left-hand side of the page. I haven't gone all the way to numbering them in a map of content type format yet. So far, the folder names are basically just the names of things like daily notes, media, modern world history, US history, etc. There are some folders within folders, such as Modern World History Images and Modern World History Supporting Pages inside of the Modern World History folder. So far, I'm also not numbering these, but I am being careful to refer to the parent folder in the child folder name, so I don't mistake, for example, my US History Supporting Pages with my Modern World History ones, or images, or anything like that. Another thing I've been thinking through is whether or not I need to tag all my supporting pages, for example, so that I could find them regardless of what topic they happen to be supporting. Would putting a tag on them help me to find a supporting page for Beringia, for example, that I might use in the content of several different courses? World history, US history, environmental history, etc. That might actually not be a bad idea, now that I think about it. Another thought is, one of the things that struck me about the Niklas Luhmann example as I was reading about Zettelkasten was that he claimed that working with his slip boxes, making and tending the notes and reviewing them and updating connections constantly, those types of things took more time than actually compiling that information into books. And I'm taking this seriously. I think this is a suggestion that a lot of time needs to be allocated for the review of notes, for cleaning them up, for improving them, for connecting them. And that's what I'll be doing as I learn more about Obsidian and as I learn more about the features that I'm not aware of yet and the ones that are continually being added. I can go back and make use of them in the notes that I've already made. And I would suggest that this kind of supports the point that I've been making in a couple of previous posts, that for me there seems to be a limit to how much I actually want to automate this process. It seems to me like the point for me will be to learn how to use the tools in an app like Obsidian that make it easier for me to find and link notes together, and then to retrieve them as groups of ideas when I need to write about a particular topic, and hopefully to be surprised about connections that hadn't occurred to me. And so I am looking forward to that sum is greater than the parts type of experience. Very much so. So far, I've got to say I've been putting more material in than taking material out. That's not entirely true, of course. The recent actual books post that I mentioned was lifted almost entirely from an old blog post that I had saved, and then I supplemented it with photos from my archive of everything hard drive, where I have about 3.8 terabytes of material from my research over the years. But I guess I should say something about that too. The archive hard drive sounds a lot cooler than it actually is. On the one hand, it is pretty awesome that something like this is available to me and that I can have all my stuff in digital format and available to me at my fingertips. I am so spoiled relative to people doing historical research 100 years ago, or 50 years ago, or even 25 years ago. On the other hand, I don't think I've really got nearly 3.8 terabytes of actual content on this drive. There are so many folders within folders, just goes down into a rabbit hole forever. And that almost certainly means that multiple copies of almost every document, image, and file exist on this drive. While that's a good thing for redundancy, and while space is cheap, it can also make it a little bit less intuitive to find and organize information in ways that make it useful to me now. So over time, my goal will be to sift through this information, find the stuff that I still feel is interesting and useful, trim it down to maybe a single instance in a usable format, for example, in Obsidian, and then a backup somewhere else so that all my redundancy isn't on one device, and then purge the rest. Some of this material will probably not be so useful to me anymore, and I'll probably drop it into some type of really deep archive, which these days probably just means another backup drive that's not quite as adjacent to my computer in a drawer across the room. Dang, isn't technology great? So in any case, that is what I've been doing in Obsidian. That's what I've been thinking about, what I've been doing, and those are my plans. And I'll continue to report on this as I implement these plans and as new ideas and discoveries come my way. So thanks for listening. I'll see you again next time.